Hey folks, this is Gray here, and today we're going to look at the Olantern Stretch versus the Olantern Classic 2 Pro, and what's the difference between the two. Alright, so let's take these two lanterns to the back bench and look at the key differences as well as some of the similarities and see which one that you think that you might be interested in if you're in the market for something like this. Alright folks, so let's kind of take a look at the two lanterns themselves. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to reduce the lighting in here to hopefully kind of be able to showcase when I turn these things on how they look. So when you turn them on, you can kind of see the difference in the lighting as I'm explaining some of the differences in the two, versus the Stretch versus the Pro here. So let's kind of just talk about some of the aesthetics outside of just what's internal on these two lanterns. One that you can see, this has a nice, very rich, warm glow, and this one has more of a yellowish glow. They both look nice, but you can definitely see the difference in the two different types of lighting. All right, so outside of that, let's kind of look at the bases. The bases are different as well. This has a bigger base versus a shorter base in that one, so there is a height difference in the two. Other than that, they're very, very similar in nature. So let's kind of look at the internals of these two devices. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys, I'm going to turn these lights on. Let me use this as backlighting. This will work for me. Is the difference in the cells that are in these two devices. And what I mean by that, so this is what they call a 21700 battery, and this is what they call an 18650 battery. So these have four 21700 batteries in it, and this has four 18650 batteries in there. All right, so two of the main differences outside of the batteries and whatnot is this one maxes out at 300 lumens versus this one maxes out at 500 lumens. This one has a built-in battery pack with four 18650s, totaling 11,200 milliamp hours. This one is going to be, for those 21700 batteries, at 16,000 milliamp hours. So that kind of shows you why the base is a bit bigger, but there's also something special about the Stretch versus the Pro. Now, another thing is the charging capabilities of these units. So let me bring, since we're focusing on the Stretch, I'll bring this one up here close. And let me turn this light down so you can kind of see on the base of this one here. When you open this up, you have two different ports here, right? So you have a Type-C port and then you have a USB port. So this is your charging port for this unit. And this is an external port that you can charge small electronics, let's say a phone, maybe some walkie-talkies, maybe another flashlight, things of that nature, right? So you have 16,000 milliamps to work with, if I said that correctly. I've been getting my milliamps wrong lately, but yeah, 16,000 milliamps. I got that correct. I'm like checking myself before someone checks me in the comments. So the only way to charge the Olantern Stretch is via Type-C. Now I'll go ahead and leave that there here. And when we look at the Olantern Pro, this one has an MCC, which is kind of standard, something that you would see on a lot of the other Olight products that you've probably seen in the past. And I'm looking to see if I can find one. I do got one right here, which is this charger connector here that you would charge it with. But that being said, you can also charge the Olantern Pro with a Type-C charger as well. So let's turn it on, Gray. And if I can get this out, you can see there it has a very similar setup as the Olantern Stretch, but you can also charge this one via Type-C as well. So you have two ways of charging this versus a single way of charging the Stretch. Now, again, you can charge small electronics with this as well. Just to kind of give you a general idea of some of the subtle differences in these two, because they both have a purpose. Now, let's kind of look at a couple of different things in regards to the Olantern Stretch versus the Olantern Pro. All right, so we already talked about kind of the LED colors in these two. And there's different lighting levels for both. So with this here, you have rotary knobs on both of these units here. Now this rotary knob, as you scroll through it, kind of goes from its lowest point, which they call it mode 1, which is 10 lumens all the way down, and you can run it all the way up. I think it's 130 lumens before we get to that white light. I'm going to go ahead and keep on going. So let me back it down a little bit. So that's about 130 lumens of that warm kind of orangey color. And then once you start to turn the knob the other way, you're going to go into what they call a warm white. As you can see there, the difference in color. And as I go through that, it'll max out. It'll go from, I think the warm light starts at about 130 lumens and then kind of goes all the way up to 300 lumens as I turn this dial. And they all have different run times. And of course, runtime is going to depend on how bright you have this light. If you have it in the highest setting, you might get, 30 minutes out of something like that. And if you have it more in the lower settings, you can get, I think this one max in its lowest setting in the warm orange, you can get up to 180 hours out of this thing here if I go all the way down here. So in this mode here, just for that warm glow, maybe you're going to sleep. Maybe you're just using it to illuminate a small space, while during a storm when the power goes out or something like that. You would use something like on a lower setting or, somewhere around that setting. But in its lowest mode, you're going to get up to 180 hours. And in this one, when it's maxed out, I think you can only get maybe about a half hour or so out of this light. I've never put it to the test because I've never really ran things on max. If I do, I usually use a flashlight. Lanterns are, for me, something that I use just to kind of like, add some additional lighting when the power goes out, or if I'm doing something that I need the lantern for. If I'm out in the garden or whatnot, and I want to use this to kind of use that more of that ambient lighting to spread over the garden versus using a flashlight. Plus this, I can set down somewhere and it does what it does. All right, so let me go ahead and turn this thing down. All right, so let's go back to the stretch. Now the stretch in its lowest setting, and the warm light also starts out of 10 lumens, but you're going to get 10.4 days. 10.4 days in the setting here. Isn't that crazy, folks? Imagine that. You just had this set somewhere for 10.4 days. If you had no access to charge this thing, you kept it in its lowest setting, you'd be getting 10.4 days out of that thing. Now, let's go ahead and turn this I want to say they call it a warm light versus an orange light on this one here. So if we turn this up, as you can see, it has different you can kind of geek it all the way up to its max setting. That knob will bottom out somewhere once you reach the high. As you can see, it won't go any further. And this is going to be its warm light high setting, which tops out about 130 lumens. So you can go from basically 10 lumens all the way up to about 130 lumens on this warm light. All right, so here is where we start to see major differences in the two lamps or lanterns. So let me go ahead and turn this down. And like I said, with this knob here, you go from yellow to white. That's you kind of got to play around with it and find out what works best for you. Now, this one here, I got it on its lowest setting in the warm light. This one has a nice switch that I'll bring up here that you can see on the front of this here. And you can see where it says warm light to white light. And we're going to switch over, and that's going to bring us to our white light. So let's go ahead and set that there. And you can see this is the white light in its lowest setting. That knob won't go any further. That's the lowest setting in the white light mode, which starts out, I think it starts out about 130 lumens as well. And it picks up from there. So then let's kind of, go through that setting there as we can go. You can kind of fine tune to where you want that light at, depending on how bright you want it. And it goes all the way up to 500 lumens. That's a max output. So again, you can start anywhere from 10.4 days or run it in its max position, again, about a half hour. So depending on what kind of light you're looking for, and let's say you want to go from white to orange right away, you can just hit the switch and you're going to be back in the orange and you're back at the max there. So if you have this on a low setting and you go from white to orange, you're going to be in that same low setting there as there as well. Just in case I didn't say anything, yep, that's how you turn them on and off. They work the same process of turning them on and off. Anyways, you can go, like I said, either direction you want to go to, wherever you had this set at, that's where that light is going to find out, it's going to find its point by switching that switch. But anyways, I think that's really nice that they added the switch on there, because this can be a bit touchy in the aspect of, okay, you're trying to find out that sweet spot, and then you're going right into the white, and then you're going into the warm yellow. And again, they have different color profiles as well. It always depends on, like, what you find as a consumer, what you like more. You know what I mean? So now let's really kind of separate the two from their lighting aspect. So I'm going to show you something. If I turn this thing on bright, let me push this back down over here. Let me push that back. I don't know if you can see that kind of that white, how it kind of spreads out, that kind of like that flood from the lantern itself. And if I turn this one, let me go and turn this one on to the white in its max setting, you're going to see the difference in the two. Let me kind of put these side by side kind of right here. And you can see the difference in color and the spread of the light itself. Here's where the stretch comes in differently. Now what I'm going to do is yank on the top of this. All you're going to do is just pull on it. And as you can see, this thing starts to rise. And already we're going to see a difference. Just by doing that, we're going to start getting more spread or more flood from that light there. So let me go ahead and lift this up. And it keeps on going, folks. It keeps on going. That's just, I'm slowly bringing it up so that you can see the difference. And look how much light that's putting out there. Now again, if you just want that warm glow, you can kind of see that warm glow there as well. If we bring this back down to the yellow, where are we at? There we go, that's the yellow there. And you can see the difference, how far this one's reaching versus that one. It's not scientific, because I'm not a scientific person, but you can kind of see where I'm going with this, right? And let's kind of extend the stretch as far as it goes in this mode. So it might go off camera, which it may. I'll try to push this back so that you can see the height of that up there versus this one here. Lots of difference in that height. It kind of reminds me of a mini street light from back in the, if you're like watch some of the old movies, you see the street lights where they kind of put a little torch to it and turn it on, the little gas street lights. It kind of reminds me of that. So it has like that nostalgic feeling, which I really like about both, because they have like that, just that nice, warm, aesthetically pleasing look. I think that's where I give Olight credit for doing their kind of research, or their R&D section, their research and development. They've put a lot of thought into this. Now, let me go ahead and switch this. If you can see here, I'm going to turn this in its lowest position. Maybe I'll turn off the light so that you guys can see this a little bit better. All right. How's that? That kind of gives you a little bit more illumination of this light here. And we'll go ahead and turn this thing up to its highest setting. And you can see it's kind of lighting this whole area. But if you really want some bright light, you switch it over to the white section, and you can see how much more light that's providing over this area. Now, I'm going to go ahead and slowly bring this down, and you can see how the light starts to recess a bit from its flood section, you know what I mean, as I bring it down. Now, see how that's more concentrated right here versus when we have it in its extended position, it brings up a lot more light. So, like I said, that is nifty. Like, when you look at ingenuity, when companies do certain things, I don't know where that they got this idea at, but I thought it was very, very cool. And if you can kind of see there, let me move the Pro out the way, and let's bring this down so that you guys can actually see it from right here. So as you can see, the light is pushing in this diameter kind of right here on my desk here. Now, if we go ahead and pull it up, you can kind of see. Let's go here first, and you can kind of see how it's kind of went from here to here now. And let's go ahead and move this all the way up to its maximum distance up here. We'll stretch that out. And now you can see it went from here to my entire area. So if you're out camping and you're on a picnic table and you're trying to illuminate a specific spot for everybody to eat at or talk or hang out, whatever the case may be, or if you're using it for emergency preparedness in regards to the power goes out and you need a little bit more light, this is a really cool option other than being stuck at this level here. And then when you're done with it, like I said, you just bring it back down, turn the thing off, and you're kind of good to go. So I really think that's nifty in regards to that. Let me switch it over to the yellow and kind of do the same thing here. As you can see that where the light is here, we'll bring it up a little bit, stretch it to right there. The light is about here right now, and then we'll bring it up all the way up to its max. As you can see, it's spread out. And if you notice the background, if you watch the background a bit as well, you can kind of see that light, what does it call it? Bringing in and bringing out. Now I want to say breathing, but there's a technical like contracting. There we go. You can kind of see that difference in the light. This is pretty beefy. It feels metal to me. It's probably some sort of aluminum base, but some people may ask, oh, Grey, well, is it strong enough? Is it beefy enough? And so on and so forth. All these lamps, they do have a water resistant rating. I think it's like an I think it's an IPX5. If I get it wrong, I'm pretty sure I'll throw it down. Put a little thing up somewhere saying that what it actually is. But folks, I don't know. Either way, I think depending on what your needs are, you really can't go wrong with these lights. I really love the Olantern series of Olight. I have the Olantern Mini, the Olantern Pro, now I have the Olantern Stretch, as well as the Olantern Music. And I think every single one of these lanterns will be on sale for the 4th of July special that's running from June 30th to July 5th. But again, that'll all be down in the description, and I'll most likely put a pinned comment on there. But from your perspective as the viewers, do you think something like this is better than this? Do you have a choice in what you have and what you would prefer to purchase if you're in the market for something like this? I'm really curious what your thoughts are on the Stretch versus the Pro. I know when I did a review, a lot of folks picked this thing up because I was ecstatic with it. I love the aesthetics. I like this brushed brass that I got here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going to have to turn this light off to kind of see that. It's kind of hard to see, but it's like a brushed brass look. They have it in multiple different colors, from greens to more brighter colors and whatnot. But I like that brushed brass finish. It kind of gave it really more of the nostalgic look as like a oil lantern or something of that nature. This one's black. If Olight's paying attention to my videos, I like anything in more of the brushed brass or the green colors, anything that has more of the earth tones. That's kind of where I look for. Black is cool and all, but I do prefer stuff like in a green tone. But it works. I can't complain because this was sent to me to do a review on, so who am I to, you know, whine, I guess, per se. Anyways, folks, I've rambled on long enough about these lamps. Looking forward to kind of seeing what your guys' thoughts are on this stuff like that. And if you own any of the Olantern products, specifically the lanterns themselves, a lot of us have the flashlights, but I'm talking about the lanterns because there's like several different variations of these things depending on what you're looking for. Sorry, I had to run over and grab the little Olantern Mini. This one, of course, you can put on a tripod or whatnot. But we use this one a lot because this one has like this little thing that you can kind of clip it onto things. So we take it out for the garden as well. And it's a pretty little bright light. But the same rotary aspect of the other light. It has nothing to do with this review. I just kind of wanted to give you a gambit of this one. I could bring out the music as well and stick that one next to it, but it kind of resembles this, except it has a speaker into it, which I've done a fun review on that one as well. Anyways, folks, that's about it on the Olantern Stretch. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and we'll bounce back to me and wrap this video up. All right, folks, so that kind of gives you an overview of the Olight Stretch versus the Olight Classic 2 Pro. And Olight is offering a 4th of July sale that they have going on. It's from June 30th to July 5th. I will put all the links down in the description, as well as a pinned comment if you're in the market for a lantern or anything that's on sale by Olight during this whole promotion. So my final thoughts on this is I think you can't go really wrong with either choice. They both work very well. I've had the Olantern Classic 2 Pro for quite some time and have used it for lots of different things, from, you know, going out fishing to camping to even when I have power outages and whatnot. Or just to go out in the garden in the late evening hours and I need some light, instead of holding a flashlight or something like that, I like to use the lanterns just because I like the warm glow. It kind of has an inviting feel to it. Outside of that, you know, I put the question in the title, basically, which one would you buy? And I'm just very curious, what do your folks think of the differences between the two? And if you had a choice and you were in the market for it, which one would you happen to purchase? I know some of you folks out there already own a Olantern from some of the comments that I've read in past and previous videos. And how do you like it? What are your thoughts on it? And what do you think about the Stretch itself? Do you think it's an improvement from the original Olantern Classic Pro, or do you like the Stretch with the optional to kind of spread that, you know, light out or whatnot? Other than that, folks, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. God bless all you amazing people out there. And don't forget, you are not alone. This is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll get you guys on the rebound. God bless.